All right, chapter 4 of that one. Nope, I'll never have the direction right. Anyway, um, I think maybe the highlight was going through my notes. So this would be for the movies, basically from the next day, so the blue milk, um, to the Tusken Raider incident, and it literally ends with basically, Ben Kenobi, old Obi-Wan Kenobi, walking up, having rescued them, but he's not yet revealed. So it's like that's the span of time that we have there. Um, and I think that the highlights for me would be it is first referred to as just blue liquid, but Baru puts it into a pitcher, and then later that pitcher is referenced as milk pitcher. So I guess it is in fact blue milk. I don't know. When I saw blue liquid, it's like okay, so it's in the book, but only referred to as liquid. Does that mean it's not a milk? No, no, it is in fact milk. All right. Um, so yeah, that's one highlight. I know that's kind of a silly highlight. It's I don't know. Maybe if I wasn't so familiar with the movies, um, it would be more of what's going on in the story. And here I'm going to adjust this a little bit. More of it would be interesting. But it's like, yeah, I know all the beats here, and it's you get a climax of the Raiders, but I mean it's also chapter 4. Luke's not going to die or anything. So anyhow. Another thing is they describe Luke as restless, and it's like, you know what? Yes, that's the perfect word for describing him, especially with his imagination. That is what is his release. But at the same time, as I've mentioned previously, like when he was, what was that, chapter 2 when he was talking with Biggs? Um, yes, that he isn't making these instant decisions, and that's going to come up again here. My criticism there. He isn't making these instant decisions to just run off and do these things. So it's like, it is that he's restless, but he just goes to his imagination. He's not actually going to take those steps to go and do anything. So yeah, the whole reference to him making instant decisions for good or bad, it's like, what are you talking about? That is not part of his character. Why did you write this? Because yeah, there is. I'm just okay. Yeah, so two instances of me saying, yeah, clearly this isn't part of his character. One is the whole he discovers that R2 has run off, and he is scanning the horizon, and it's like, 3PO is like, shouldn't we go after him? It's like, no, not at night. We'll never find him, and it's dangerous. It's like not an instant decision. He is reasoning this out, and then when R2 is reacting, which actually describes him leaping off the ground instead of just a wow, 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 or whatever the sirens are that are going off in the movie, to show his agitation because he's picked up that the raiders are nearby. Luke then deciding to go and actually investigate this, and even saying that this is an area that very few humans have been in, so we don't know, that there's a lot of interesting things that have never been seen here, so maybe it's just that. But I wouldn't really call that an instant decision. It's his curiosity. He's giving into his curiosity, and even talks about his curiosity right there as well. So it's like he's curious, and he just gives into that. It's not really an instant decision. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry that it's annoying me so much because it's clearly not accurate to the character, and it's there, and singular points like that will set me off. I don't even want to imagine how bad I am at that, though. I mean, hey, I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I know I'm not. I'm just doesn't mean it can't annoy me when I finally spot it. He does acknowledge R2 tricked him, which I do appreciate the confirmation there. But there then is a little bit of 3PO being like, he shouldn't even be able to, R2 shouldn't even be able to think about like having a mission going off and all that. And it's like, but he does seem to look down on R2, which I find curious. He is referred to as an astromech droid, but shortly thereafter. But it's still, it's like, is it just that 3PO is that arrogant that he considers himself superior to R2, or is R2 actually supposed to be canonically less intelligent than 3PO? I'm not sure. I do feel like that shouldn't be the case. That it's just 3PO's arrogant. But it is. yeah, it is just one of those interesting in-universe technical points that I'm curious about. The technology there. It's not really a point for the storytelling. Um, I mean, not really, because it does seem odd how 3PO seems to have a greater aversion to disobedience, but it also could just be that's his personality, more so than there's a true technological reason against it. Um, oh yeah, and then one last thing. So this should be actually pretty short. That is interesting, and this could be a setup. I doubt it will be, because again, I know the movies. I doubt it will be, but it could be. Could be a setup for some stuff. So the scene with the Raider suddenly appearing in front of Luke, that scene does play out a little differently. I don't quite remember all of it from the movie, but it is when the Raider comes up, Luke doesn't immediately go like, "Oh no." He's actually like, "Yeah, get that out of." That's a leg. Uh-oh. It's more like that. So it lasts a little bit longer. But he also is like, okay, I got a steep drop behind me. I can't retreat. I don't have any way to like attack the guy who's much bigger than me, has a weapon. So it's like, uh-oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What does he do? He faints. Which, that's fair. He faints from fear, and I'm just like thinking, okay, is this going to be something he could have to deal with later on? With his other instances where he's afraid and he starts feeling faint, even if he doesn't actually faint, but starts feeling it? That would be absolutely appropriate, even desirable, because it helps humanize him while he's still on that journey to becoming the hero that we know Luke Skywalker is. Even just by the end of A New Hope, of Star Wars A New Hope, it still is. He does become this hero that needs to be able to be in control so he does not faint. So you could have that journey there. I have my doubts it will be there. But it would be neat if it is in there. And that would be one of those. Yeah, because it is enough of an internal thing, unless you're going to show somebody like staggering a little bit after certain high stress events. That's one of those things that a novelization can probably do better than a movie. And I can understand you wouldn't want to be doing that in a movie anyway, because you're taking time for that, and it might not come across correctly. So it will be interesting to see how the novelization goes. This novelization and the others. Remember, I'm also gonna. It's a whole trilogy that's in this thing, and then I got the prequel trilogy. It will be very interesting to go through and see the other differences. I'm just trying to think what else. Some of the conversation between him and Uncle Owen over dinner is a little different. It's basically all very consistent with what's in the movie. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very familiar with the movie, so this chapter isn't isn't adding on too much to it. I mean, some, yeah, but it's not like it's not like, oh my god, I'm learning so much. It's not quite like that. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to really mention. I did find one thing interesting, how it described that Beru, it even says she's not that intelligent of a woman, which it's like, why you say? I think it's more so just she's not, might only be of average intelligence, that she's not like the smartest one of the three, but she does understand that she is one that just by her being there, neither of them will get too heated at each other. That Owen and Luke, they do go at each other, but the moment she appears, they calm down. Which is entirely appropriate for her role there, her character. So, but it does still seem odd. It did seem odd, the whole, you're specifically calling out she's not necessarily that intelligent. It's like, why is that there? I mean, it could just be she's a knowing person. She understands what's going on here, and it's like is able to recognize both sides of this, and so can be the peacemaker. Even just her presence. So yeah, let me see. So for the next chapter, if I just thinking off the books, we will finally get the introduction of Obi-Wan. Probably the discussion of the Jedi, which the history, which will be interesting, very interesting, I think, to see what kind of differences there might be there. The lightsaber being introduced. I'm just trying to think what else we might have there. Do they cut to the Death Star at all at that point? I'm not sure. Um, but you will certainly have Luke's refusal of the quest. So standard hero's journey. That will happen in this next chapter, I assume, because that is when it happens in the movie. So I am curious with that though, because there's actually something else that isn't really explained. How does R2 know that Kenobi's in the area? Anyhow, like that has not been explained. Maybe it will be explained in the next chapter. But yeah, the refusal of the quest will be interesting because the one line saying instant decisions that I've already said, that seems to be false. I don't know why it's in there. But just how is some of that handled a little bit? But I could believe there's enough that is like 1-to-1 with the movie or 2-to-1, where it's like they just wrote a little bit more in the book. It will be interesting. I know I shouldn't be doing too much prediction, but I am looking forward to seeing what differences there may or may not be with that, because it'll start giving us the historical information for the universe. Which I don't know if I will, probably not, because I didn't enjoy the book that much, and I read it too recently. There's one book that it was very interesting because I loved reading. It was so enjoyable to read, but I hated the history of it because the history of that universe made zero sense. But here, I obviously already know the history because of the movies, but it will be interesting to learn more of the history and just try to figure out, okay, how does some of this all map together? What matters? What doesn't matter? Things like that. All right. Yeah, this has been a short one. See you next time for chapter 5. I'm sorry. It's just, where is it that I won't have that problem? Yes, 5. All right. See you then.